If your life feels chaotic, it's not because you're broken. It's because you bought the biggest lie in productivity, that you need to do more. You don't. You need less. Here's the single rule that saved my focus and my sanity. If your life feels less like a smooth cruise and more like being shot out of a cannon, let me assure you, you are not broken. You don't lack discipline. You're simply carrying too much. You've bought into the myth of the multitasking juggler. I know that feeling because I lived it. I used to chase every shiny goal, try to please every person who crossed my path, and say yes to every single commitment that came my way. My calendar was jammed, my to-do list was a scrollable nightmare, and I was constantly wondering why, despite all the effort, I was always exhausted, always behind, and always stressed. I looked busy. I felt busy. But in reality, I was just spinning my wheels, generating heat instead of forward movement. The truth is, we live in a culture that worships complexity. We are taught that the path to success is paved with more projects, more hustle, more hours, more side gigs, more apps, more information. We mistake motion for progress. We believe that if we just push harder, spread ourselves thinner, and juggle faster, eventually we'll catch up. But here's the quiet revelation that changes everything. Clarity doesn't come from adding more. It comes from ruthlessly removing what doesn't belong. Think about what it really looks like when someone is trying to do it all. Most people are living like they are literally juggling 15 flaming torches while simultaneously trying to ride a unicycle on a tightrope over a very long drop. It's a spectacle. From the outside, it might look incredibly impressive. People cheer and say, "Wow, look how productive they are. Look at their ambition." But if you talk to the juggler, they're terrified. They're hanging on by a thread, perpetually on the verge of breakdown, and one small wobble, one missed email, one late night, one minor crisis will send all those flaming torches crashing down around them. That image is not a path to a high output life. It's a blueprint for burnout. The people who actually live calm, focused, and genuinely high-impact lives are not juggling anything. They look deceptively slow. They are not frantically running from one commitment to the next. What's their secret? They simply do less. They pick a very small handful of things, the things that genuinely, fundamentally matter. And they pour all their energy, focus, and excellence into those few areas. There are no distractions, no performative hustle, and no fake productivity, just real, undeniable progress on what truly counts. And this isn't just some cozy, feel-good philosophy plucked from a self-help book. This is how the real world, the world of massive transformative success, actually operates. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, the company was a complex, failing mess. They were making everything from printers to obscure handheld devices. They were sinking. Jobs didn't say, "We need to work harder," or "We need to launch 20 new products." Instead of adding more, he did the absolute opposite. He cut the noise. He simplified. He focused only on the areas that truly mattered for Apple's future, famously eliminating nearly 70% of Apple's existing products. He ignored everything else. Simplicity saved the company. The conventional wisdom that says doing more solves problems is a lie. Complexity is an enemy. It destroys focus, it fractures energy, and it makes you ineffective. Within a few short years of that radical simplification, Apple went from the brink of bankruptcy to becoming one of the most valuable companies on the planet. That is the profound, counterintuitive power of doing less, but doing it better. The things you say no to define you just as much, if not more, than the things you accept. Excellence is not about endless activity. It is about sacrifice, not of quality, but of quantity. Stop trying to wander down a dozen paths, constantly worried about what you're missing out on. Master one path instead. Why? Because when you commit to one thing, you build depth, and depth beats breadth every single time. My friend, most of your stress, most of that feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed, doesn't come from life being hard. It comes from being overloaded. You are drowning in distractions, in half-baked goals, in commitments you said yes to out of guilt, and in too many apps screaming for your attention. You're trying to do everything at once, and that is precisely why nothing moves forward. Focus beats ambition. The hard truth nobody wants to hear is simple. You don't need more on your plate. You need less, and that less has to be done with absolute excellence. Doing less doesn't make you lazy, it makes you sharp. Success belongs to the people who protect their attention like their life depends on it. Because every yes to a distraction is a hard no to your dreams. You're not behind because you're not doing enough. You're behind because you're doing too much. And that scattered, fractured energy is killing your progress faster than doing nothing at all. The most successful people aren't better multitaskers. They're just better at saying no to everything that doesn't matter. We must put this myth to bed. Stop trying to be the 15 flaming torch juggler. Start building a solid foundation instead. If you're nodding along, thinking, okay, I get it, I'm juggling too much, the next logical question is, how do I stop? How do I put down the flaming torches without dropping the things that actually matter? The answer is found not in some new age productivity hack, but in a brutal real-world case study. The near-death and miraculous rebirth of Apple in the late 1990s. This isn't just a corporate story. It's a masterclass in how simplification is the ultimate strategy for turning chaos into clarity. When Steve Jobs returned to the company he co-founded in 1997, Apple was frankly a disaster. They were bleeding money, losing market share, and their product line was a sprawling, confusing mess. They had dozens of different computer models, printers, peripherals, and software tools. They were trying to be everything to everyone, and in the process, they had become nothing to anyone. They were the ultimate example of the multitasking juggler corporation. The conventional business advice at the time would have been to ramp up R&D, launch a new aggressive marketing campaign, or acquire a competitor. In other words, do more. Jobs did the unthinkable. He walked into the boardroom, looked at that massive, convoluted product lineup, and didn't ask, what should we add? He asked a much more difficult, much more powerful question. What should we kill? He didn't just trim the edges. He went on a spree of ruthless simplification. He eliminated nearly 70% of Apple's existing products. Think about that. 70% of what the company was currently spending time, money, and focus on. Gone. Jobs famously simplified the entire product strategy down to a simple 2x2 grid: consumer desktop, consumer portable, pro desktop, pro portable. That's it. 4 products. He forced the entire company to focus all its resources, all its engineering talent, and all its marketing attention onto just those 4 corners. The rule was clear. If a project didn't fit squarely into one of those 4 boxes, it was a distraction, and it was cut. The result? They stopped spreading their focus thin across dozens of mediocre products and poured it all into 4 exceptional ones. Within a few short years, this strategy didn't just save Apple. It became the foundation for the revolutionary products like the iPod, the iPhone, and the iPad that turned them into the most valuable company on the planet. This is the profound lesson for your own life. Simplicity saves. Most of us approach our lives the same way Apple approached its product line in 1997. We have commitments, projects, half-started habits, and digital clutter that make up 70% of our activity, yet deliver maybe 5% of our actual joy or progress. We assume that doing more is the solution to everything, but Jobs proved that complexity destroys focus. When you spread your energy thin across 10 things, you are achieving mediocrity in 10 things. When you redirect that same energy toward 2 or 3 things, you are aiming for excellence. The moment you commit to this rule, you gain 2 superpowers: laser focus. All the mental energy previously spent context switching, juggling deadlines, and stressing over low-value tasks is suddenly freed up. It's like gathering scattered beams of light and directing them through a magnifying glass. The intensity is immense. Unbreakable quality. If you're only doing 3 things, you have absolutely zero excuse not to destroy them. You can't blame being busy. You have the time, energy, and mental space to obsess over quality. People notice this. Opportunities flow to those who deliver excellence, not just those who look busy. So how do you apply the Apple lesson to your messy to-do list? You start by being brutal about what stays and what goes. You have to understand that excellence demands sacrifice, not of quality, but of quantity. The things you decline define your path as much as the things you accept. You don't need permission to simplify your life. You just need the courage to admit that less might actually be the powerful answer you've been seeking. Because here's the ultimate takeaway. You earn the right to do more by first doing less exceptionally well. You must build a solid foundation first. Jobs didn't launch the iPhone until Apple had completely mastered 4 simple computer products and, crucially, had mastered digital music with the iPod. Don't try to build 5 houses at once. Build one solid house, liven it, and then plan the second one from a position of strength, not stress. Depth before width. Mastery before variety. It's time to stop clinging to the complexity that is currently sinking you. We've seen the power of cutting out the 70%. The noise, the distraction, the chaos that keeps you stuck. But what happens after the cut? How do you transition from a life of random activity to a life built on purpose? If you're ready to stop just reading about simplicity and actually start living it, I've put together a powerful step-by-step guide. It's called 30 Days to a Better You. This is your personal roadmap for finding those foundational few priorities and building unstoppable momentum in just 1 month. It's filled with the daily action steps and journal prompts you need to finally reclaim your focus. Ready to trade overload for excellence? Click the link below and grab your copy of 30 Days to a Better You now. Let's make that powerful shift together. If the Apple lesson taught us the power of subtraction, the next logical step is to figure out what, precisely, you should keep. After the ruthless cutting, after you've let go of the 70% that was just noise, you are left with a glorious, intimidating silence. In that silence, the question rings loud and clear. What is the foundational few that deserves my entire focus? This is where most people get tripped up. They cut 10 things, but then they immediately add 5 new slightly different things because they're terrified of having empty space in their calendar or on their to-do list. They fall back into the trap of complexity, confusing a new batch of distractions for a new purpose. The key to escaping this trap is to find your vital few. Think about building a house. You don't start by constructing the second-floor balcony. You start by pouring a solid foundation. Most people are frantically trying to build 5 different half-finished houses at the same time. They're all leaning, unstable, and about to collapse. The person who builds one solid foundation first is already living in their stable, beautiful home and planning the second one from a position of ease and abundance. The foundational few are those fundamental priorities that, if executed with excellence, automatically make everything else in your life easier or unnecessary. They are the dominoes that, when pushed, knock over 100 tiny tasks. The journey to finding this one thing begins with a brutal, uncomfortable question. It's an exercise that utterly transforms your focus, so grab a piece of paper or your notes app right now. Step 1. The brain dump. Write down everything you are currently chasing. Every goal, every project, every commitment, every "I should probably do this" thought sitting in the back of your mind. Get it all out there. Your list might include: finish the online course, start a side hustle, lose 10 pounds, call Aunt Susan, read 5 nonfiction books, meditate daily, organize the garage, learn Spanish, hit the gym 6 days a week, find a new job. No judgment. Just a complete inventory of your current scattered energy. Step 2. The transformational question. Now, look at that chaotic list and ask yourself this. If I could only succeed at one of these things in the next 12 months, which one would genuinely change my life the most? Sit with that. Really think about it. Don't pick what sounds impressive to others like the new side hustle. Don't pick what other people expect from you like calling Aunt Susan. Pick the one thing that, when mastered, would transform your reality, creating a massive, tangible shift in your life. Maybe it's securing a new, better job, because that solves the financial stress and the career stagnation, making the read 5 books goal easier later. Maybe it's mastering your health fundamentals: sleep, movement, real food, because that energy surge makes every other goal, from work to side projects, easier to attack. That single item you pick is your foundational few. That's your one thing. Step 3. The hard edit. Once you've identified your one thing, everything else on that long, chaotic list suddenly becomes optional, secondary, or background noise. They are things you can do, but not things you must do right now. This isn't about pursuing all your dreams at once, it's about pursuing your dreams in the right order. You can absolutely have it all, eventually. Just not all at once. Real, sustainable success comes from building solid foundations that can support everything you're aiming for. The patience you practice today becomes the wisdom that guides every achievement tomorrow. Think of it this way: focus beats ambition. Ambition is wanting 10 things. Focus is picking the one thing that gives you the leverage to achieve the other 9 later. Amazon didn't become a massive global retailer by trying to sell everything on day 1. They started with one thing: books. They mastered the logistics, perfected the customer service, and earned trust. Only after they had that solid foundation did they expand into everything else. Focus first, scale later. Your one thing is your foundation. When you pour all your focus, time, and energy into mastering it, you are not just getting one thing done. You are building the mental discipline and momentum that makes every subsequent challenge easier. This process is about completion creating momentum. Finishing one thing, finishing it with excellence. Beats starting 10 things and leaving them to gather digital dust. It's time to stop drowning in overload and start focusing on the few actions that truly move the needle. You're not behind because you're not doing enough. You're behind because you're scattering your energy, and that scattered energy is killing your progress. Find your one thing and watch your life simplify and accelerate. You've identified your foundational few. Your one thing that will change your life the most. That's the easy part. The truly difficult, but most rewarding, phase is defending it. This brings us to the most uncomfortable rule in the simplification playbook, the art of the intentional no. This is the barrier between a focused life and a chaotic one. Think of your focus, your energy, and your time not as limitless resources, but as a heavily guarded, incredibly valuable treasure chest. Your foundational few are inside that chest. Every commitment, every favor, every request, every unnecessary meeting, every piece of low-value consumption is a thief trying to steal a handful of gold. If you don't learn to say no, your treasure chest will be empty by lunchtime. My friend, let me tell you something that utterly changed my relationship with my own time. If it's not a clear, resounding yes, it is an automatic, non-negotiable no. We are conditioned to commit out of guilt, pressure, or the fear of disappointing others. We say yes to that club meeting we don't care about, that draining conversation we should have exited, that friend's project we don't have time for, or the empty advice and endless consumption we engage in online. We are constantly worried about being seen as not a team player or selfish. But here is the truth that successful people understand implicitly. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you are saying a hard no to what truly matters. Your foundational few. Your time and energy are not renewable resources. You don't get more of them. They are finite and precious, and you must treat them like they are worth a fortune. If you don't protect them ruthlessly, you will watch them disappear into everyone else's priorities while your own dreams and goals. Your one thing. Collect dust in the corner. Let's be honest. Most people are drowning because they refuse to let go of what's sinking them. They cling to the complexity because it feels safe, or they cling to a commitment because they don't want to hurt someone's feelings. But freedom begins the moment you stop clinging to that complexity. Learning to disappoint others occasionally is the only way you stop disappointing yourself constantly. The most productive people are not the ones with the fullest calendars. They are the ones who have mastered the diplomatic, yet firm, refusal. Here are the 4 things you need to start saying no to right now, maintaining that light and breezy tone. The obligation commitments. This is the project, the volunteer role, or the social obligation you took on purely out of guilt or pressure. These are the life suckers. Your boundary filter must be simple. If it doesn't align with my foundational few, or if it doesn't give me massive, genuine joy, I am out. Practice saying, that sounds interesting, but I simply don't have the capacity to give it the attention it deserves right now. It's honest and it's firm. The digital drain, your attention is your most valuable asset. Stop allowing every application on your phone, every notification, and every trending topic to steal it. You are not a human feed reader. Growth comes from action, not endless, low-value consumption. Treat your phone like a tool, not a master. Turn off the noise.
The half-finished projects. These are the scattered remains of your old, multitasking self. The club you joined and stopped going to, the course you quit halfway through, the business idea you shelved. These linger in the back of your mind, acting like background applications running on your mental processor, slowing down your real work. You must formally either finish them now if they align with your one thing or cut them forever if they don't. Clean up the mental clutter. The status trap. The compulsion to compare yourself to others or chase busy as a status symbol. People brag about exhaustion like it's an achievement, but exhaustion is just a sign that you've lost control of your priorities. Don't fall for the trap of being busy just to look productive. You are chasing results, not applause. The mental freedom you gain from saying no to most things gives you the incredible focus to excel at the few things that count. When you ruthlessly cut the noise, clarity doesn't just emerge. It vanishes the chaos. And here's the unexpected kicker. The people who genuinely respect your boundaries and your focused path are the ones worth keeping close. Learning to disappoint a few people means you get to finally stop disappointing the most important person, you. Your task right now is to stop being pulled in 17 directions by everyone else's priorities and reclaim the actual power over your own life. Freedom starts the moment you stop clinging to the things that are weighing you down. Protect your focus like it's your future. We've stripped away the chaos, we've learned to say no to the noise, and we've crystallized our focus onto the foundational few. Now, we arrive at the exhilarating final phase of the do less, do it better rule, the obsession with quality. This is where effort finally transforms into impact. The central concept here is simple, yet revolutionary. Depth beats breadth every single time. Most people are chasing breadth. They want to be decent at 20 different things. They want to dabble in every trend, have a finger in every pie, and collect a portfolio of pretty goods. This makes them feel busy, but it makes them utterly unremarkable. They are the generalists who deliver average results across the board. The world, however, does not reward the average generalist. The world rewards the specialist who delivers excellence. Think about it. Nobody is building statues for the person who is pretty good at everything. No one remembers you for being decent at 50 different skills. You get remembered. You get hired, promoted, sought out, and rewarded for being exceptional at one thing. This is why we had to simplify so ruthlessly. If you are only focused on a handful of things, your foundational few, you have absolutely zero excuse not to utterly dominate them. Your focus isn't scattered across 5 urgent emails, 3 half-baked projects, and 2 social obligations. Your energy is now a focused beam. And when your quality improves, everything changes. People notice, opportunities grow exponentially, and real progress finally replaces busy work. Look at elite performers for a second. They are the ultimate specialists. Usain Bolt ran. He didn't also try to master high jump, javelin, and discus. Serena Williams played tennis. She didn't try to be a professional golfer and a pro swimmer simultaneously. Michael Phelps swam. They didn't chase everything. They committed to mastering one thing. This singular focus is what made them unstoppable. Simplicity builds greatness. When you commit to your foundational few, you are now dedicating your finite time to obsession. Excellence is a product of obsession, not dabbling. You pour your energy into mastering one craft until you are so good that people genuinely cannot ignore you. That is how you build something that actually matters and lasts. This isn't just about productivity, it's about momentum. Remember the story of your college self trying to join 3 clubs, start a business, hit the gym 6 days a week, and pull all-nighters for perfect grades. That was all motion without movement. It resulted in burnout and half-finished projects. The moment you simplify and finish that one priority, say mastering the fundamentals of your core job, you create a surge of completion momentum. Finishing that one thing gives you confidence, tangible results, and energy. It sets up the next priority perfectly. The person who builds one solid house first is already living in it and generating cash flow, which they use to fund the next solid house. Meanwhile, the generalist is still wandering around their 5 unfinished structures. Focus is compounding interest for your effort. Now let's talk about the uncomfortable truth about this final step. It will feel harder at first. Why? Because focus demands sacrifice. Saying no hurts and letting go of options feels like closing doors. When you commit to one lane, you give up the comfort of the adjacent lanes. You might worry, what if I chose the wrong one? But here's the immense reward you get in return. Freedom, clarity, and actual power. This is the true essence of minimalism. It's not about throwing away your stuff or having 3 shirts. Minimalism is about clearing the mental clutter so your mind has the space to focus on what truly matters. It's about protecting your mind from overload. Once you genuinely embrace this rule, once you stop pretending everything deserves your attention, something shifts. You wake up lighter. Your mind isn't racing through 50 things before your feet hit the floor. Every decision becomes easier. You're not choosing between 100 options. You're choosing between 2 or 3 things that align with your one thing. You are fully present. You're not rushing, you're not divided, and you're not half there while your mind worries about the 17 things you're not doing. That full presence makes life richer, more meaningful, and infinitely more manageable. You finally stop feeling like you're constantly behind on everything. You will achieve more by subtracting than you ever did by adding. That's the rule. Do less, but do it better. Stop scattering your energy, choose your lane, and go all in. That's the path to generating unstoppable momentum and building a life you feel proud of,
not just exhausted by.